last week we talked about the use of tools online, digital tools, and that Google Classroom should be pretty much used on a daily basis, whether you're face-to-face or not, in kind of a blended environment. But we were talking about the lesson building tool. Judy referred to it as a learning management system. Lesson building tool of HyperDocs. And we kind of sparked an interest in, or a knowledge of, the use of some of these tools and the safety of using those. We have a lot of districts who don't use certain products because it won't protect student data. It doesn't protect student projects, information, won't allow you to deactivate things. And so we kind of thought that would be important to talk about maybe this week.
Yes, protecting student data and privacy, and not just students, for ourselves as well, is something that's really incredibly important. And if we talk about that for a few minutes here in this week's program, I'll post some resources, both a video of about an hour-long presentation on this topic on student safety and what's required by law and what you might want to do in addition to whatever is required by law. Some of the terminology that's out there, COPA, SIPA, why do we have to have special permission to do things student under 13 and all that kind of stuff. But to get to the scary parts of it, and Tanya, you really got me started on this topic. It's something that I've looked at and researched and taught on to educators for many years. But you were giving an example of someone that had a app on their phone, and you actually able to tell how fast they were driving, where they were. And this was from an app that, it wasn't one of these spyware things that you can install from the telephone company and other sources to keep track of your kid, your whatever. This was just a regular, let's have fun, let's play games app. But yet it was tracking where they were and how fast they were driving. So, it's scary, the amount of information that these apps grab from you. And I've got a couple slides on this, Tanya. Do you want me to share those?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, we talked about this before, about the evasiveness of things out there and looking into your life and turning off your location or services on your phone so people don't know where you are. But there's like a dichotomy of like, do I have it on so if something happens, people can find me, or do I have it off so no one can ever find me, kind of thing. And but yeah, I get that, the evasiveness of apps. So yeah.
So I apologize, my monitor isn't behaving itself. Are you able to see the websites that I have listed here right now?
Oh yeah.
All right, and if you're having trouble seeing these at home or at school, this will be posted as one of the resources in our blog. But some of the best and worst services in terms of privacy, how do I know what data they're collecting on me? And how do I know, what information they're sharing with others? Look for the terms of service or privacy. Usually it's at the very bottom of the first page. You come to the homepage of apps and things. And I tell you, some of them are really, really scary. So Snapped, one of the things, this is originally, at least it is expanded, but originally was so you could share a photograph and it just disappear from your phone in just a few seconds and it was gone. Well, when you look at the privacy and terms of use for Snapchat and many of these other programs, what they actually say is, if you send a photograph over that app, that photograph belongs to the company and they may use it, they may sell it, they may market it, they may use it in their advertising. So what you think is a very private, secure transaction because it disappears or because you delete it, isn't secure and private at all. And, one of the greatest of these is from the meta companies. and you might be saying, well, I don't think I have anything from a Meta company. Yeah, you probably do, because Meta is the parent organization that owns and runs Facebook. And just about everybody has a Facebook page. So if you take a look into Facebook at their terms and conditions, and these are the same, virtually identical for WhatsApp, extremely popular for sharing information, Instagram, Oculus, the Vision, the virtual reality headsets, and over 90 other companies are all part of Meta. So if you take a look at their terms of service, they're basically like I was just describing for Snap. They say that anything you post on their website, anything you post on what you think is your website or your page, even if you have it restricted and private and sign in required, and you only let certain people, you do all of those things. It truly doesn't matter, because Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram and so forth, they say in their terms of service that when you post it, it's theirs, and they can do whatever they want to with it. They can use it for marketing, for advertising. They can sell it to other companies. And that's why, if you say, I'm thinking about going to Florida, and all of a sudden you start seeing ads all over the place, even including ads to your email about, travel to Florida, stay at this hotel, golf at this golf course. Well, that's because they can get that legally. They can take that information from Facebook. Now, you probably have heard in the news over the last few weeks or months, depending on when you're watching this video, about Facebook is giving new, stronger privacy, and it's really restricting how the data is being used. Not really. They are improving a little bit on what they're going to do if you ask that your data be deleted. However, when you read the details, if you go through and say, I'm leaving this app, I don't want to ever use this app again. There's too much of my private information that's out there, or I posted something that I don't ever want anybody to see. The companies openly admit that they can't guarantee, even if they delete the data, that it might not be residing on another server or anybody else that has seen the data. And again, there's nothing you can do about it. That's part of the terms of service. So I'm going to go the other end of the spectrum. It's scary, and look into it. But essentially, anything you post online through these services, and you say, well, wait a minute. No, we have strict student guidelines. So that's the question. Your district might have strict student guidelines, and you as a parent might have strict guidelines for your children. But what does the app that you're using have as their guidelines? Look into it. There is a standard for privacy and safety online. And if you take a look, I keep Safe Harbor. It is one of, there's several, but it's one of the excellent policies. And so if a company follows the I Keep Safe Harbor guidelines or promise, then it's probably going to be pretty safe for you to use. Long, complicated process. We'll be glad to share information with you and talk to you in more detail if you've got questions about student privacy and privacy for your children's. But just be aware, you're probably sharing a lot more information than you think. And I'm going to finish up on this with just some of the super obvious. I'm sure you've heard this before, but don't post on Facebook when you're going to be going to Florida, because obviously that's just inviting burglars to come and say, all right, great, you're going to be gone for 2 weeks. Or, post your pictures and things after you're back. And if it's something that you regularly do every year at a certain time, honestly, kind of disguise when you're going. Here's something from this summer, use a broad range of just to help protect yourself. Does everybody that posts about their vacation get a burglar that comes by? No, of course not. but it can and it does happen. And it's happening with increasing frequency. You may be aware of this. There's even some folks that are no longer posting the times of weddings and funerals. They're keeping that out of their social media because of a rash of burglaries that have occurred while people's wedding or funeral is going on. And all I can say is I hope there's a very special place that's not very good for the people that would come in during those kind of occasions and rob somebody. But it happens. So watch yourself online for social media and let your kids know as well. You know, what you post on social media can affect you for the rest of your life. We have a session we do at NWT that I do, and I'd be glad to talk to you about that. It's basically, you know, how to sell yourself for your future employer, if you're going to college, for your college admissions, you know, what you can do online. So when they look you up, your employer or the college you're going to, when they look you up online, that they're going to really have a positive impression about you, not a negative impression. You say, oh, I know tons of people. They show pictures of them drinking and all this, and they got into college or they got hired. Depends on the kind of job you're going toward, and it depends on the college you're going for. If you're going for a job that is very competitive or high profile, where you're going to be seen in the public, where you're going to be representing the company in public, or if you're trying to get into a college that, you know, has high admission standards or a program that it's difficult to get into, they will look at social media and they will sometimes deny your application just based on something you did 2 or 3 or 4 years ago that's out there, because they don't want that association. So be careful about what's online. Read those terms of service, read the privacy, look at the resources if you'd like to know more about this that's posted along with this blog. So thank you, Tanya, for giving me time to talk about something I'm super passionate about. You know, it's kind of like wearing your seatbelt. We know we should do it, but we don't always think about the consequences if we don't do it. It's like that with online safety.
Yeah, and I think also a lot of times people will be like, yeah, I'll take the risk because it's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to me. Well, it happens to my family all the time. And we're in little rural Ohio, you know, and I'm just like, it happened to my sister again. Like, she's putting herself out there. I mean, we get calls all the time of, you know, this message came up on my screen. I got this email. I clicked on it. It had access to all these things, and now they have all my information, you know, and we're always trying to help people avoid that by, you know, helping them get their information back and then help keep them a little bit more secure. And we're, you know, helping districts with that as well. We keep students safe. Yeah. And I think there's a fine line between, you know, I've heard of districts finding kids that have run off the grounds, the school grounds, and they can find them through Snapchat, or they can find them through social media and that kind of stuff. I mean, but still, you know, that fine line between being out there totally being protected. Yeah, I like that I can find my son. And his dad and I were talking about it last night, and I said he must be doing carts tonight at Walmart because he was working. And he goes, what makes you say that? And he goes, you can see what he's doing. And I said, no, his little dot keeps moving to the parking lot and then back into the store, just the edge of the store. He's like, really? And I said, he goes, well, no, it's his truck. And I said, no, it's his phone. We're tracking, it's his phone that we're tracking. It's not his truck, you know? So I love that I know that all the time, but I don't want anyone else to know where he is all the time. And I don't want anyone else to know where the rest of us are any of the time, or be able to get my information and that kind of stuff. So, you know, this is good information, and it makes me think a little bit more about those generalized umbrella statements of, do you agree to this policy? Yeah, I agree to this policy. Well, we need to read those a little bit in more detail. So
yeah, I agree. And ultimately, I mean, read them. They are oftentimes several pages long. The longer they are, the more likely that company is using your information in ways that you probably would prefer they not. They're using your information to benefit themselves. And again, just anything you put there. I mean, pretend that if you're putting it up on social media or any of these apps, that, so when I say any other apps, games, just all you're doing is playing games, that they're collecting information on you. So anything you type there, anything you put up, pretend there's like a billboard in your front yard, and this is going to appear in that billboard. And the billboard actually would be less scary because somebody'd have to drive past your house to read the billboard. And this, all they got to do is go online, and they can get lots of information about you. So I can say also is when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I'm certainly glad my mom didn't have one of those apps. Not that I did anything wrong, of course.
Yes, yeah. Well, great analogies, great examples, Roger, good information. And we'll include all that stuff on our resource page. The link is on your screen right now. And of course, you can always contact any of us at NWOET through email. And our information will be at the end of this video so that you can connect with us anytime you may need a session in helping you understand the security of technology or the integration of technology or anything related to technology. So, all right, well, thanks for joining us today. Thank you, Roger and Judy. And we'll have to figure out what we're going to talk about next time. We'll stumble upon some kind of new tool that we can introduce to our teachers. All right, so thanks a lot.
Yeah.